Welcome to the Eddie Hart podcast on this Friday morning. So glad that you're joining me today. Hey, I want to share with you today about the importance of keeping our focus. This was on my mind and heart as I awakened this morning. Keeping your focus. You know, focus is a very powerful thing. When I was a kid, I used to take a magnifying glass and hold it over a piece of paper, a piece of wood, and you can start a fire with a magnifying glass because of the focus. Because what the magnifying glass does, it takes the rays of the sun that are dissipated and it brings them together into a focus, and it produces heat and will produce a fire. And we have energies in our life. We have all kinds of energy, mental, emotional, physical energies. And the devil would like to keep us scattered. He would like to keep us unfocused, because when we bring all of those things together into a focus, we too ignite positive fires of 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 success and revival, whatever it might be. And we're continually challenged with things that would distract us and cause us to lose our focus. I'll never forget. I think it was probably 1984, and it was during the Olympics. And it's been so long ago, I don't remember the names, but I'll never forget it because it demonstrated the importance of not losing focus. And it was the 100-meter dash, and there were two sprinters, world class sprinters, uh, and they were the two favorites. One was, it felt maybe had just a little edge over the other, but the world was like really anticipating these race, especially because these two individuals were running. And I'll never forget how it ended and what the announcer said. Um, at the end of the race, one of the persons was just a fraction of a second, like a half a step ahead of the other. But at the very last, just before they crossed the finish line, the other one moved ahead and won by the slightest edge. And the announcer said that the person who was ahead just before they finished crossed the finish line, they said that he turned to look to see where the other person was. He knew that this was his biggest challenge, biggest competitor. And my understanding was he was the favorite. But right at the end of the race, he lost his focus by looking around to see how the where the other person was. And I'll never forget the announcer said that when he turned to see where the other person was, he lost just a little bit off of his stride, and it allowed the other person to pass him by the very slightest margin. He lost his focus, checking to see how somebody else was doing rather than keeping his focus keeping his focus on the finish line and finishing strong. He turned to look to see how his competitor was doing, and when he did, he lost a little bit off of his stride and he lost the race. My friends, we don't want to lose our focus in life. I think it's in uh, Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. It says, "Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily distract us." Now, it doesn't use the word distract. It said, lay aside. And I'm turning over here to read it exactly how it says. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. And I think we could say it wouldn't be out of the uh, what the biblical writer is saying, ensnares and distracts us. And let us run with patience or endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus. Well, in other words, don't lose your focus. Um, Interestingly, in John chapter 21, there is the account of Jesus in one of his post-resurrection appearances. He appeared to the disciples. They were fishing, and he appeared to them, and they came to shore, and he had some food, some fish, some food cooking, and he ate with them. And this is when he asked Peter 3 times, says, "Do you love me?" And he's probably giving Peter the opportunity. Peter had denied him 3 times, and now he's giving Peter the opportunity to acknowledge him, confess him 3 times. And so 3 times he asked Peter, "Do you love me?" And each time Peter responded, "Lord, you know that I love you." And Jesus would say something like, "Then feed my sheep, shepherd my lambs, feed my sheep, feed my lambs." And then Peter says to Jesus, "But Lord, what about this man? What's he doing?" He turns to John. "Lord, what about this man?" Now he's losing his focus. He's turning to see, What about John? What's he going to do? What about this man?" And Jesus said, "If I will that he remain till I come, what is that to you? You follow me." In other words, Peter, John is of no concern to you. You need to keep your focus on me, Peter, following me, not be concerned and worrying about John. I'll look after John. You follow me. Keep your focus on me. Wow. And I'll never forget, this has been quite a number of years ago. Somebody sent me an email of something that somebody had said, like a Christian, some Christian, maybe a Christian leader. It's been some years ago. I don't remember exactly what it was. But it was some kind of bizarre teaching. And I remember I was so irritated by it. And my first response was I wanted to get out my computer and I wanted to write up and set this person straight and so on. And we were actually driving. We'd been ministering down in Florida, and Sue was driving, and I was I was in the passenger seat, and I read this on my phone. And I'll never forget. I heard the Holy Spirit say, "It doesn't really matter what anybody else is saying or doing. It doesn't really matter what anybody else is saying or doing." And I knew what he was saying to me, actually saying to me the very same thing he said to Peter about John. When he said, when Jesus said to Peter, "What's that to you? How I relate to John? That's of no concern to you. You follow me, Peter. Keep your eyes on me. You follow me. Keep focused, Peter." And I heard the Holy Spirit say, "It doesn't really matter what anybody else is saying or doing." And I knew what the Holy Spirit was saying. Don't lose your focus, Eddie. You just keep focused on what I've called you to do. You keep focused on the task that I have given you. As far as you're concerned, it doesn't really matter what somebody else is saying or doing. You stay focused on me. I want to ask you today, have you lost your focus in any way? Have you allowed another person or some issue or some situation to distract you from the task that God has given you? Oh, I encourage you today, get your focus back on Jesus, on serving him, walking with him, and fulfilling the task that he has set before you. I want to read that. I'm going to read that again in closing. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. "Therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses," and he's talking about those who have gone before us, who had finished their race well, "let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us." And I'll add this: let us lay aside everything that would distract us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. As you stay focused on Jesus and what he's called you to do, you will ignite some fires of success and blessing in your life and in the lives of others. Hey, God bless you. I'm Eddie Hyatt. This is the Eddie Hyatt Podcast. I'm so glad you joined me today. Check out my website, eddiehyatt.com. Check out our books that are available on Amazon, and there's a bookstore there on our website. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday. God bless you.